Good morning, I'm Paul Stoltzfus from Lancaster, PA. I am a realtor and business consultant here in the Lancaster Keller Williams Elite. We're right outside of the city, close to Park City Mall and 1280 Plaza Boulevard. So today, I want to talk about the fourth industrial revolution. We've been transitioning from the third to fourth industrial revolution for some time now, and the Encyclopedia Britannica lists out the four industrial revolutions that we've been a part of. In 1784, we had the first industrial revolution, where we had mechanization, steam power, and the weaving loom. And then that brought on the assembly line for the second industrial revolution, where we had mass production, the assembly line, and electrical energy. Henry Ford, that's when the car became popular. The car became affordable to the everyday working man. Isn't that amazing? We take that for granted now. And fun, when we were at the Wax Museum in out of Gettysburg, there's a scene where there was a car stranded along the road, and a stagecoach was, kind of zooming past the stranded car, and a kid was hanging out the window, and he was saying, "Ha ha ha! Go buy a horse," right? And we sometimes have that reaction to technology in our world today, both in our everyday life and in real estate. We have these new platforms, these new all this new technology, and we have to adapt to it, or feel like we have to adapt to it because our consumers are adapting to it, and we get frustrated with having to adapt to this. And we look back at the people that were using the cars and the people who were still riding horses, and we think it's naive of the people in the horse and carriages laughing at people in cars, right? And so I look at that, and it helps me have more patience as we learn these new platforms and new technologies, to learn them, adapt to them, and really embrace them, because it is going to usher in a whole new world of possibility for us. It's 2020, roaring 20s. Over the new year, it was fun to watch everyone posting their parties, and the theme that came up the most, well, second to pajama parties, which I don't know why people have pajama parties. Do you guys have that? Adults walking around in pajamas? It's just weird. But the most popular theme I saw was Roaring 20s, 2020, just like 1920, Roaring 20s. And what we're going to do this time is embrace the change and prevent a meltdown of the economy. So let's jump right into this. So we're talking about the fourth industrial revolution, and so let's look at the supply chain of how we get our products right now. And so let's just take, for instance, shoes, or any products that you would get at the mall. The supply chain right now is the manufacturer sells to distribution, and distribution could be, airplane, trucks, and small delivery, right? And that delivers to, let's say, the mall or shopping centers. And inside the shopping centers, you would have, mom and pop stores or brick and mortars, or outside the mall, standalone small brick and mortar, right? And all these people, these businesses are serving happy customers, right? We've seen this forever. And then here we have a big company comes along and says, "Hey, I will connect the manufacturer directly to the consumer," right? And we had web sales. So this idea of going around the supply chain, remember the supply chain, these are intermediaries. And so the word for this going around, direct from manufacturer to consumer, is called disintermediation. I love that word. And so we have companies like Amazon or D&H, other distributors of products that say, "Hey, the consumer is choosing the small brick and mortar, but if we can go around and create a better experience online to save the consumer something, either time or money," turns out that products online aren't necessarily cheaper than the stores, but they're definitely more convenient. And this online experience adapts to what I want. You go onto Amazon and it remembers the last thing you bought. So when I go onto Amazon, it looks like my Amazon, and I'll have my latest self-help books, maybe photography, some running shoes, those kinds of things. And then when I'm on Facebook, it remembers when I looked at Amazon, and it gives me ads based on that, right? Because everything is connected. But if my kids would go onto Amazon, they would see the latest Star Wars movie or the latest hockey stick, those kinds of things. Or, whoever is the caretaker at home might see diapers and groceries and all that kind of thing. We like that experience because it saves us time and it's shipped directly to our door. So the people who get starved out then usually begins from the consumer back. So one by one, the consumer chooses to use the web experience, right? And so we have some of these small brick and mortars can't survive. Some of it is because the prices online are better, and so to survive, they have to lower their prices, but they can't have margin that's enough to make a profit, right? Maybe some of the small stores in the malls die. Some entire malls disappear because of this. And the interesting thing is, some of the biggest tech companies still have retail spaces. Apple Computer, one of the most lucrative technology company, still has brick and mortar in malls. It's the highest per square foot retail turn. So brick and mortar is not going away, it's just shifting. What you'll see in Apple, for instance, is people begin their shopping experience online, right? You go online, check out the newest iPhone, you check out the iPad, the Apple Watch, and they're like, you know what, I need to check this out. You walk into the mall and buy it. So the common theme is the purchase cycle begins online. For one thing, it might begin with an ad that you saw online. You jump to the website, experience a bit of it, and then like, I need to see this, and then buy it, right? Or this can happen with local attractions. So let's say there's a local cave, like Indian Echo Cavern. So on a weekend, any given weekend, I want to know which cave to take my kids to, or what entertainment event. And so I'll go online and Google around and say, hey, what are fun things to do in Pennsylvania, right? And so I tend to go to the location that has a website that shows pictures or videos to kind of almost begin to experience that adventure. And so it's not that website keeps me from actually going to Indian Echo Caverns. It actually shows me some really cool features that then I can't help myself but just want to go. I show it to my kids, I'm like, hey kids, let's go to this place. Does that make sense? So the experience begins online, but then we go back and actually experience it at the location. So back to this. The distribution doesn't go away, but these disintermediation companies realize that the consumer is making the call, right? And so they create experiences the consumer likes. Amazon may actually buy out distributors, become their own distributors, and build a massive business because of it. Does that make sense? And so that's what we talk about when we're going from the old world to the new world. Going from the third industrial revolution to the fourth industrial revolution. And the fundamental question is, as a business owner, how long can you survive in the old world? And how quickly do you have to go to the new world? Or if you don't go to the new world, what bad thing will happen? We tend to be motivated more by future pain than future benefit. So think about the local hardware stores. We had Barnes Hardware in Leola. I talked to the guys in there and they always helped me fix screens, broken windows. They had that really good local service, and I've known them since I was a little boy. I remember walking in there and there's wooden floorboards. Those of you who shop there, you can probably smell it right now. It's that old wooden floorboard smell, the hardware store smell. And you have that nostalgic feeling just hearing me talk about it right now. Some of the floorboards might have been popping up and nails coming up, and as you go past, you stump them down, and they really help you. Barnes Hardware sold out a couple years ago because they could not compete. Maybe that was because of the big box stores, some online, a combination of things. But the reality is they're local expert, and being the local white glove service was not enough to keep them in business. And it seems like the hardware stores that are surviving are the ones that partner with national brands. Like, I'm still seeing a lot of True Value hardware stores around. They have that national brand and leverage to get better prices and distribution. They don't have to manage their inventory as much. Excuse me. And then they combine that with great local service. So I think there's a pattern we're going to find here, because at the end of the day, we're looking at this and wondering, hey, as realtors, as we build a real estate sales business, how do we have to adapt to this new world to thrive? Not only survive, but to thrive in the fourth industrial revolution. So when we get to the end, you'll be brought to a decision. Which way will you go? So hang tight. So going from the old world to the new world, the question is, how long can it survive in this old world? A lot of hardware stores couldn't survive. There's some local like sports stores, specialty sports stores that were around here in Lancaster. I think there's a soccer shop that's still around, and that could be because they have a national t-shirt brand that they sell, and a lot of people buy t-shirts from them, and they have them fulfilled from a national brand, and they're just a local expert. So there's this common theme of a local connection, or someone who has a local relationship partners with a national brand. Oh, think about here, this is a good one. Doctors. So your family doctor, you might have had your same family doctor for many, many years, and then all of a sudden you hear that, oh, they're part of WellSpan or LGH. And what's happening is these doctors realize that the consumer wants to have just-in-time information, so that when I go to my doctor, I want my doctor to know all about all my ER visits. And vice versa, if I happen to show up in hospital, I want the ER to know my history from my doctor without waiting a couple days to have the information transferred, right? We want everything on the same platform so we can have a seamless experience from having a cold to being hit by a car and being in the emergency room. Does that make sense? All right, moving on. So we want to learn from other industries how we're transitioning to the fourth industrial revolution and apply that to real estate. All right? Similar supply chain. So in the real estate world, we call this the mothership. We'll call that the mothership. Whatever your brokerage name is. It could be Berkshire Hathaway, Coldwell Banker, Remax, Keller Williams, Howard Hanna, you name it, it's here, Kingsway. So the mothership is like the national brand, right? And then we have the region. And then the region will set up market centers. And then you have market center leadership. And this market center leadership enables all the happy agents connect with homeowners, right? So we have all these homeowners all over Lancaster and surrounding counties. And as agents do white glove service, help them buy and sell homes, these homeowners are super happy. And so the mothership tells a region what to do, the region distributes that information to the market center leadership teaches these agents how to connect and do great business. Well, as you can see over here in the disintermediation of product supply chains, the similar thing happened with real estate. So someone came along here and said, hey, I am going to just create a web presence and create a real estate experience online. And he began with search. So there's companies like, let's say, Zillow, Redfin. There's even some local companies have their, their local website that they pay maybe $50,000, $100,000 a year to grab leads and give it back to their agents. They're all amazing ideas. And the way Zillow, Redfin, and these local lead aggregators work is by creating an online experience that the consumer prefers, right? It's kind of like looking at an iPhone. You go online first, take a look at it, or you look at a local attraction, you look at the pictures, and you do a video, kind of a walkthrough of the experience, and then decide if you're going to go or not. In real estate, what happened is these lead aggregator companies, here again, disintermediation. Don't you love that word? I feel smarter already. So these companies created an experience that the consumer preferred. So instead of calling the realtor and saying, hey, show me this, or what properties do you have, the consumer is going online and saying, hey, I found this property on this website, can you show it to me, right? And sometimes we get frustrated at that, but I would say let's change the way we look at that and say, hey, the consumer loves to go online first. So let's figure out a way to deliver that, right? And align with companies that deliver that. And so here's this word, and to a brokerage or a group of people in a brokerage that see someone come in and disintermediate, it looks great at first. Zillow is capturing the leads and selling it back to our agents, money. But what happens over time as these lead aggregators become more successful at creating an online experience to begin the transaction, as they create more value, it takes money away from the agent. And then at some point, the agent may just be walking in, opening up doors for these people, right? And that really is fundamentally this old world to new world. Now, when we look at the disintermediation of real estate and comparing it to the disintermediation of the supply chain for products, it's very similar. In this supply chain, as a consumer chooses the online experience over calling their local expert, who is the first one to lose time or lose, not credibility, but who loses out in this chain? Well, I'll tell you, it's the agents start losing business to this. And so the lead aggregator will grab the business, sell it to the agent who can handle more capacity. So the real losers are the agents who are maybe starting out, or the agents that are doing a decent amount of business, but don't want to spend the money to buy leads, right? And so when the bigger businesses begin paying money, $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month, $5,000 a month, these top performing agents pay money to this website, which then enables them to create a better experience, and then they will sell back leads with even less money. And that could be a good plan. If you would love to do just more volume and pay someone to create leads for you, that could be a good model. That is, if you fundamentally trust what these companies are doing. So a few years back, I would say over 4 or 5 years ago, Gary Keller said, hey, we have this happening. We're going to have to create the similar online experience for our consumers. So since Keller Williams is the #1 brokerage with the most agents, they have more money coming into the coffers to then spend on technology, right? Just think about that. It's about scale. So since we have those resources, Keller Williams was able to create a similar experience as these companies were. And this is where it gets interesting and where it also gets a little vulnerable, because if we spend all this time creating a experience, we're betting on this experience actually working, right? But the idea is that we create this similar experience to compete with this web presence, and then instead of selling the leads back, this agent paying to the market center, the region, and to the mothership, that money funds this technology that then enables our agents to reclaim being that local expert and giving the white glove service. And so when we're going from the old world to the new world, the question we're really asking is, again, how long can I hang out in the old world before I die? And what does the new world look like? And there's 2 fundamental choices in this new world that we're going to. So I would say it's either an agent and they're using tech to help the agent. So tech-enabled agent, right? So the agent is the star. Or are you going to align with a company that is agent-enabled tech, right? So the agent, an example of agent-enabled tech is these big lead aggregator companies. They say, hey, we found the lead. We learned how to convert the lead into a buyer or a seller. And now we're just going to give it back to the agent. So that is the big tech companies. These big tech companies, they look for agents who are hungry and who their commissions are being slashed. And they say, hey, we can help you double your business. And of course, it takes some of the money. So you get to decide as an agent right now in this 4th industrial revolution, do you look for solutions that tech is the center of the world and you're just enabling that technology? Or do you align yourself with a company that says, hey, the agent is the center of the transaction, the agent is a fiduciary, and the agent gets to do the white glove service and be the local expert, and we're going to create technology to enable that agent to do that. And that's really the choice, because we know already in the old world, we're out of the old world, which is the MLS phone book, right? That's not there. And we already have identified that to go completely tech, like we're not going into a world where the real estate transaction is all technology. At the very least, this big tech will need agents to enable that tech. So this isn't happening. So really the only thing that we have to look at is, do we align with a company that is tech and our agents enable them? And what happens is, fundamentally, whoever is the star will make the most money and have the biggest lives. Does that make sense? So as you think about that, start looking two things. One is, what solutions are helping your consumers have a great experience that begins online and you complete it in person and keep the relationship? So when you're looking at new CRMs or new follow-up systems, are you really helping the agent have a great experience? And then are you part of closing that experience or keeping that relationship? Because I think in the third industrial revolution, we gave up some of our relationship building to technology, and we were hoping technology can take over. We even see companies that are introverts did very well in the third industrial revolution, when you kind of hide behind your mass emails, you can hide behind your blog posts. But now we have technology to take care of our information, but now there's kind of a resurgence of more empathetic people. There's more room for people who will actually take time for relationships in the real estate experience. And that's because we're finding the correct role of technology. Technology will never replace the relationship, because we are humans, and humans are wired to want relationships. Does that make sense? I'm curious to hear your feedback. So think about how the consumer is choosing, and we have worthy rivals that are doing great things. We just have to do better with our technology. Align with a company that has great technology to get the consumer what they want, and also maybe just choose which side you're on. Agent-enabled tech or tech-enabled agent. You probably know which way I'm leaning. So as you're thinking about that, pull the trigger, ride the bullet, and have a wonderful 2020.